people like you were saying you're still feeling, well, you don't know how you feel since the win, right?
Yeah.
And so what did you feel on stage at that moment?
You didn't see a video? No, I mean, like I said, I thought I was second place. Just like I said, I feel like I didn't do enough maybe, and Kamal was definitely improved from a year ago. And I was ready to accept second place, but when I heard and knew, that's all I heard. I completely blacked out. I didn't hear my name being called. I just hit the floor, and it was just being real. It was just the emotions let out, the tears came flowing. It was just, as I'm down there, I'm thinking to myself, this is 15 years of just hard work, consistency, dedication, and in the back of my mind, it was 15 years of people doubting me, telling me I couldn't do it, telling me I was too small, and I made it happen. This has been my biggest dream, one of my biggest goals I've ever had for myself. And it's the Olympia title. It's the biggest title in the world to have, and I actually have it now. Did I believe I can one day get it? Absolutely. Did I expect to get it this year? No. Again, I thought I was going to be second place. But for it to actually happen and see my dream come to reality, it's just, honestly, unless you're in that position, you truly can't put it into words.
Okay. Who wants to try?
So when he came to you originally and first started working with you as a client, what's the biggest thing you think you changed about his program or nutrition or whatever that brought you to this point?
I think honestly it came down to our communication with each other over time, and what I've been saying a lot since he won is that's not something that's forced. It's something that happens naturally as you continue to work towards a goal together. And I think it's really important because Shaun and I have grown relationally, we've grown as an athlete-coach relationship, but it's been a process over time, and I think a lot of people, they either try to rush that process or they want it too early. So that's one thing, and then honestly, I just pushed him hard. I mean, I continue to learn, every prep, I think I make his peak week harder and harder every time because I know that the end result is just going to be better. Basically the last two Olympias, it's the best he's ever been, and I've taken those notes and I just try to improve upon that. And that really, we just believe in each other, and I knew we've had very real conversations. I knew that Flex was pretty much unbeatable, but ever since we've been planning for this while Flex still had the title. And putting the work in and just trying to chase the 5 to 7 pounds a year, which I think is a really great goal for anybody that's listening to this. And then just, I think ultimately communication and just really pushing them hard is what it's come down to.
I would say also, when I came to Matt, I was under eating. I just felt like I wasn't eating enough, and I think the first thing he said to me is the reason why you're not progressing, you're not eating enough. And I think that one of the first changes he made was increasing my food. And by increasing my food, that increased my strength in the gym. And obviously, I'm able to push more weight, which obviously builds more muscle. And that was kind of what, my body can handle the food now. Like I said, after the show this year, we kind of took the past 6 weeks or so off, kind of let my body just rest, heal up, do its own thing. I train kind of when I want. I kind of eat just here and there. I still get my meals in, obviously, but we're not forcing anything. But come February or so, we're going to start really pushing the food again, pushing the training back up. And I think the prep for us starts February 1st, February 2nd.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. I told him at the start of last prep, I said my goal is to feed you the most you've ever been fed, because this was the first prep that we went into where he wasn't previously in a deficit that year. So we had a longer window of time where I could really see food response to his body. I think we kept major cheat days in until 6 weeks out. We had never done that before. But I wanted to just, with the tissue that I knew that he had built, I wanted to really just feed it as much as we could, as long as he was losing fat. It wasn't just a fat loss goal for me; it was more of a performance and look goal that we worked for this year.
And last year compared to this year, so last year I got up to 190 in my off season, and obviously we dieted down to 169 on stage. And I think I was holding last year for 2019 prep. I was holding around 180 or so.
180, yeah.
This year, I was holding around 192, and I got up to 200 pounds. So it's 10 pounds heavier in my off-season. So we knew that we were going to be much bigger this year coming into the show. The conditioning, again, is a factor for us. I knew that Kamal is known for his conditioning. So we really pushed that this year with the cardio, I'm just obviously drilling the diet. Like I said, we had to keep the food high because I'm one of those guys that I can drop weight like that. And I don't have to make the weight. I make the weight in the off season, right? So I have to kind of make sure I continuously put more food in and make sure I'm still training hard, still have the energy and the focus to kind of just continue on. So.
Like, because I know that there are a lot of flashbacks to that moment. Like everything just lights out, like you said. Like when you look back, do you feel you could have done more? Do you feel like what's the feeling?
I'm obviously happy with the win, obviously, but I'm not satisfied. I looked at the picture, looked at the videos, we talked about it, obviously. There are areas that I need to bring up. I'm not happy with my hamstrings. My chest needs a little more fullness up top. I know I need more width in my back. Those are just, again, every year I'm going to continue to improve regardless of having a title or not. So again, those are the areas I'm kind of focusing on right now going into 2021. Like I said, I'm excited. I said when we got home, we obviously enjoyed the win. We had the holidays, we had the New Year, and then I was kind of right back into the gym the next week. And I said we celebrate this for a couple of days, and it kind of just went away. I'm one of those guys, I don't like to sit there and celebrate and kind of dwell on having a title. Come February 1st, this goes away. I'm chasing a title like I don't have it, to be honest with you. That's how I don't celebrate victories ever. Even when I was an amateur, I want to show great, I want to show when's the next one. I have a goal, I want 10 titles. And it's not going to happen by me sitting here and celebrating this one. So, like I said, February 1st, this goes away. We're getting ready for 2021, looking to repeat and get a second title.
So in this industry, man, there's a lot of quantitative information, how much you weighed, how much you ate, how much you didn't eat, all those things. So for a coach, what do you are the intangible things that Shaun has that made him a champion? We can go over everything that he ate and win, but why is the reason why he won? It has nothing to do with anything quantitative.
For one, Shaun's mindset, I think Shaun's mindset is huge because he believed he could win this title years before his physical body actually could. And I think that's a lot of really this industry, I'm just going to be as honest as I can, like there's a lot of people that are trying to overcompensate for something, and that's the reason why they do that. And yes, Shaun was a small person, but like I've never heard Shaun say to me, like, Matt, I have to do this because I was made fun of as a kid. Like it's always been like an athletic performance-based goal for him rather than something off of what somebody said. And now granted, he just said like, I was always told that I couldn't do this, but like that was never the driving force between him wanting to win this title. It was looked more like like winning the Super Bowl for him. Like it was always an athletic based thing. So that to me, like he behind closed doors, he's never somebody that whines, complains. I never hear about how hard it is, even though I know how hard it is. And then from a genetic standpoint, the thing that makes Shaun so fun to work with is how hard I can push him. And he basically he doesn't lose fullness. So obviously from a coach's perspective, that's a huge blessing as well. But I've been asked over and over, like, how did you get him so full? And my honest answer to that is really the drier we get him, the fuller he gets, which that's not the case for a lot of people because there's a ratio of if you start to overly dry somebody out, they're going to flatten out as well. Whereas Shaun, it's like if you continue to dry him out, he just continues to pop and pop and pop. Now, granted, at that point I was feeding him as well, but it was more so just like I just keep learning that the more I can dry him out, the better that response is for him. And just something else, there's been a few questions just about like the feeling, and for me, I think what I appreciated the most about winning the title was the immediate respect that I saw Shaun get on Saturday night. Because he hasn't been, and this is no disrespect to anybody that's in a position, but he hasn't been respected the way that he should. Even through the weekend, he wasn't chosen, finished third last year, he wasn't chosen to be on the panel for the press conference. But I tried to quickly shift that, and I'm like, okay, let's just use this as an advantage to be in our room longer and to get more work done rather than being frustrated that we weren't on that panel at the time. But yeah, it was felt so good for me to walk into the show with him being the champion on Saturday night, and there was like this immediate shift of like, okay, now he's welcomed in, which I think should have been done a long time ago. I mean, even for the sake of, on Friday night, we were told in the morning that he was going to go on first. We dropped him off for the night show, and he texted me before I even got up to the the show and said they just changed us to last. Okay, so now that's a 4.5 hour time gap of time that we didn't plan for. So I walked up to the judges and I said, hey, can I get backstage? And they said no. Now, granted, eventually they did allow me backstage, but Saturday night there was no holds barred. Like, we could go wherever we wanted, you know. So the whole like atmosphere of him winning that title just quickly changed into the respect that I feel like that he should have been given a long time ago.
I got one. Is there a piece of advice that you received from a current or former pro that really resonated with you during your preparation?
I think the biggest inspiration I've ever had was Texas Jackson, and I've always considered him a very close friend. And he's a guy who started off like me as a bantamweight and kind of started off small, and he heard the same thing. He was too small. He's not going to make it. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. And again, he kind of just did what I did, kind of just kept his mouth closed, kept working, and eventually proved everybody wrong. And we all know Dexter Jackson is one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Personally, I believe he's the greatest of all time. But that's kind of one of the guys I look to for inspiration, if I have questions about anything. And also Flex Lewis, amazing friend. I can call Flex any time of the day, and he'll pick up the phone. Granted, we were obviously competing against each other, but he was always there for me, always giving me advice and telling me that, hey, one day you can be in this position. You will be in this position. And he's probably, I don't know if you guys saw the video or were you there, he was talking to me on stage, obviously, and the next morning after the show, we sat at breakfast and we just talked about everything. And so then Flex Lewis, Dexter Jackson, probably two of my biggest inspirations, and two people I really take their advice to heart.
So there was a lot of questions on the athlete and the coach dynamic, and you briefly were mentioning out there, with your girlfriend and everything. Just how did that dynamic work with you going into prep and just completely zoned in on that title? So I know you guys struggled and you guys had your own stuff to deal with.
That's a question that she can answer, I guess.
Let's hear some secrets.
Secrets?
Oh yeah, let's secrets.
What's the secret? How did you guys make it work?
How do we make it work?
It wasn't easy.
We don't talk. I mean, I guess I leave him alone. That's how I make it work.
There you have it.
I leave him alone. He's on one side, I'm on another, and pretty much we don't talk. We don't talk for months. And that's no joke. That's not over-exaggerating. It's good morning. Like, I literally text him when I get to work because I work so far. Hey, I'm at work. Have a good day. That's it.
Right, that would be like a next level of you guys understand and you guys respect what's happening and what you're going for, right?
It's a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
When he tells me, hey, we're starting prep Monday,
Yeah.
Monday morning, it's a light switch. Everything just turns on. We're in the gym doing our cardio. Like she said, and obviously in the beginning of the prep, I'm not as tired or beat up like I usually get toward the end. But as things get tougher and tougher, carbs are pulled down a little bit more, cardio's increase, the calories are dropped down. That's kind of when I have no energy. And it's not just I don't talk to her. I don't talk to anybody. My own family. I don't talk to my friends, family,
No
anybody.
energy, no patience.
I mean, all right. I'm sitting right here.
Too high to eat food. My husband used to wait for me to leave the house so he could eat. And
No.
then whenever I came back, there would be food there. And
No.
I'm like, what's happening?
Normally I eat clean as well, so it's not really a big thing. But if I were to walk in with a pizza, it wouldn't faze him.
No?
Not at all.
Let me tell you
nephew
this.
actually
We had
did that.
more sweets in our
Bro,
room.
that was for after the show. But I didn't have any during. That's all that matters.
My nephew actually did that one year.
Oh, if I was starving, everybody else would.
He had no idea. He's a kid. He was like, what, 5?
5 years old, 6 years old.
And they came over and he was like, here, you want a piece? And he literally went like this and he's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't have it. And he's like, but why? So I had to explain. He's like, all right, so next time we'll get a whole pie, one for me and one for you. He's like, all right, bud, we'll do that. But it doesn't faze him. You could eat whatever you want in front of him and it won't bother him at all, which is mind blowing because I'd be like, give me some. Yeah.
And I don't leave my house. I go to the gym. That's pretty much what I do. Go to the gym until I come home. So we don't really go out obviously to eat, and I don't really visit family either. And I think the biggest reason why I don't visit family is because I'm always getting questions. Like, hey, you want to eat some of this? Like, I can't eat this. Like, why can't you eat that?
Just a little bit.
Well, yeah. Well, it's clean. Like, you're clean and my clean are complete different cleans. Or if I'm pulling out my Tupperware, they're like, oh, what's that smell? What's that? Like, I don't want to have to go through that. So again,
especially when he's prepping, he'll just get annoyed.
Yeah.
It gets annoying.
When I say no patience, everything gets annoying. So at that point, it's just kind of like you're just better off staying home and being in a bubble, and that's what he does.
I like my bubble.
I just check up on him. Do you need anything? Are you okay? And that's about it. And I mean, that's how it kind of works. I guess it's not easy because life still happens around. You know, I still have things happening, and it's like I just kind of lose them.
Yeah.
For a good few months, but it is what it is, and you know, it's all worth it in the end. It really is. So
what's your reaction to a distraction? Let's say someone comes in the gym and like, oh shit, man, someone just hit your car. Like,
someone hit my car.
Any type of distraction. What's your reaction to a distraction?
Depends where I'm at in prep, man. If I have the last 2 weeks, I'm just like, hey, whatever. Yeah. You know, my gym is pretty cool because they understand what I do now, so they don't really bother me as much. But if I'm deep into prep, man, I kind of keep my head down, keep the hoodie over the head, and kind of just do my thing, get in, get out. I'm not one of those guys that can try to come up and take a picture or say what's up. I'm not going to shove you off. But if you're sitting there trying to have a full-blown conversation, then obviously you got to shut that down a little bit. Amen.
How did you last so long? Because I see the neutral bio has your back. I see these two people right here have your back. But I remember when you were in between, and I remember people see food sponsorships. And I work at a store where I get every 15-year-old who has a 15-inch bicep, they want something for free. And I'm like, what are you going to do when you turn pro? And I'm like, I've seen people like you bust your ass when there's no glamour. You're just busting your ass, and you're working and grinding and working your way up. A lot of great talent has stopped because they didn't have the heart to last it out that long. I mean, amazing pros. How the hell did you do it to get to this point?
Well, he's asking that question because he's known me since I was an amateur, 2006, 2007. So he's known me my entire career. And he's probably one of the closest people to me who's seen the struggle, who's seen me come up from where I was to where I'm at now. It's passion. Like, I never got into this sport to be rich, to be famous, any of that stuff. I absolutely love training. I said if bodybuilding ended today, I'd still be in the gym training. I'm not a bodybuilder because I don't compete.
Stepping stage.
Yeah, exactly. I just love training, and I love seeing my body progress. And bodybuilding shows just happen to be there for me to display the hard work I put in. So that's pretty much what it is, man. I love this sport. I've loved this sport since day one. I said the fire's still there, the passion's still there. I'm going to keep going.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a question. This is for all the short guys.
I'm not short now.
Vertically impaired.
Yeah, thank you.
that's why I look down.
But like,
Yeah, go ahead.
so I mean, you're in the gym, you're training hard, you throw up some heavy weight. You know, it's every time you're either posting or you're training, it's some heavy weight that compares to you know, like open class bodybuilders and stuff like that. So does anyone ever just say and comment or say like you're only throwing it up because your range of motion is like 2 inches?
Yeah, all the time.
So what do you say to that?
I don't say anything.
You win the Olympia.
Yeah, you learn to just not answer those negative people. You know, in the beginning, I would probably go back and forth with them, but they want you to go back and forth with them. Right. They want to feel like, I got to riled up.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I mean, I said, like she said, I mean, that's all I need to say. That's it.
What if you haven't won the Mr. Olympia? What do you say?
What's that?
What if you haven't won the Mr. Olympia? What do you say?
Nothing.
Yeah, same thing, man. Nothing.
Just keep working.
So go ahead. You had hard
one of the unique things about this particular Q&A is we get to see that bodybuilding isn't necessarily just an individual sport, right? We got 3 different perspectives right now on one man's victory. But it really isn't one man's victory, it's all of your victory. So kind of explain to me the emotions you guys went through, each of you, when he won, and also what are your emotions when things didn't come out quite as good as you would have hoped in the past? How do you reset? How do you reset? And then how do you reset? And then how do y'all come together and come up with a plan to move forward with that?
my saying, she can tell you what it is.
Timing is everything.
That's it.
I
There's been shows where she's lost her shit because I didn't win, and I'd be like, babe, don't worry about it. It's not my time.
Yeah. He's just, and I'm like, how can you just beat? He's like, it's just not my time. Our time is coming. And I'm like, all right. And, you know, I believe in him, just like Matt believes in him. So it's kind of like, all right, let's just get back to work. That's pretty much how it kind of goes when it comes down to that. As per victory, I don't know, I lost my shit. I mean, somebody, my dress ripped, somebody stepped on my dress, it was a mess. However, though, I take his pictures for Matt, right? So I take his pictures for him to send to Matt.
And my videos on Instagram, those are the videos.
I'm his videographer. So I take his pictures, I see what he looks like. However, show day, I'm just as surprised as everybody else. It's crazy to say, but when you see like the tan and the oil and the lights, it's completely different. So when he first comes out, just like everyone else is shocked, I'm shocked. But on top of that, I feel as if though I'm on stage with him because I've literally done everything he has done. I do everything he does. I mean, I don't do the same amount of weight. It's usually half, but I do everything he does. I wake up in the morning. I have a full-time job, so right after we train in the morning, I go to work. I have a full-time office job, and then I come home, pick him up, and we go and train at night. So come home, eat, shower, sleep.
Start it over again.
That's our day. That's really. So when I see that, I see what we've done together just unfold right in front of me. So if I feel I'm up there competing with him. And it's an amazing feeling. It really is. So.
I have a lot that I could say about this, but I think one thing that I want to say is that this year there was the most pressure that I've ever had on me as a coach because I knew at the moment that could potentially be there for Shaun. But it was also the most calm week of Olympia I've ever had. And I think that goes a long way to show like what kind of athlete Shaun is. Again, I think you deal with so many different personalities within bodybuilding, but he truly views this whole process as a sport. And it's not a pageant for him, and it's not about a look at me contest, and it's not about, everybody needs to walk on eggshells around me. And I really appreciated that because it made the moment and it made winning that much sweeter because there wasn't tension leading up and there wasn't, arguments in the room about you should have done X, Y, and Z or I should have looked better or my glutes weren't fully in, even though they were fully in. But like all those little things, like those all mean something to me. So, the appreciation that he shows me, the way that he takes care of me, like that all went into it. But I was on a podcast this week and I was asked, or I said, that I've always expected myself as a coach to win this title. And the person interviewing me said, wow, I'm surprised you're saying that because I've never heard that from a coach within our industry before. But like I come from an athletic background and like winning is all that matters, So for me, like coming into coaching, I've always wanted to work myself up the ranks to accomplish what we accomplish, And I mean, it was everything about it was so surreal. It's like, I think one thing about what happened is as much as we prepared for that moment, you don't know what that moment feels like until it happens. And the same thing with like Shaun being quiet for 4 months straight. Like he's preparing and trying to prepare his mind mentally for something that he hasn't yet experienced. And that's a very overwhelming thing, And even in the car, like the whole weekend was great. And then Saturday or Sunday, I left him. He was at a photo shoot. I left him to go back home, and I had this overwhelming feeling on the way back home of like, wow, we're in uncharted territory now, and it's our job to basically lead this division, which is something neither him or I have any experience, and that's an overwhelming feeling because it's up to us to take the division in the way that it should go and represent the way that, not that Kamal didn't represent well, I think he was in a very terrible year, but to me, like Flex is like the ultimate representation of what this division should be, along with Neil. And that's on us now. It's not Flex's job anymore. Flex still does an incredible job of that, but that's our responsibility. That's not Flex's responsibility anymore. So that was, I could talk about this for hours, but those are just kind of a few things right off the bat that come to mind.
So with what you said you need to bring up for next year, what are the considerations you're taking into like his training plan going forward?
Well, for one, he does work with John Meadows for his training. Two, I do like to have my input, but honestly, I know for a matter of fact it's going to be done. It's not like we have to like over obsess about minute details. It's more so just like we just have to continue doing what we've done. And I know that it's going to happen because we've not done it 1 year since. And I know that, for me especially, I know for him the same thing. It's like we have this title, but as I posted last night, like we still have a lot more mountain to climb because the goal wasn't one. The goal is to potentially be in the ranks of Flex and potentially, Lord willing, beat Flex one day. That's where our head is at. So we're not satisfied with one. So I know that the work's going to be done. In terms of like tangible things, like he needs more hamstrings. His adductors need to fill in more on his back double. So it's just continuing just to progressively overload those movements. I'm a firm believer in that. Like tension, I think, is king, and that's what ultimately is going to do it.
You're going to start your prep, February 1st, and you're going to get your new training split and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you, for the 2020 prep, would you mind like sharing like your training split then?
Yeah, so Mondays was back, Tuesdays was chest and shoulders, Wednesdays quads with a little bit of hamstrings and calves. Thursday is my off day. Friday was arms, biceps and tries, and Saturday was glutes and hamstrings, and Sunday off.
So two off days in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that the reason why we did that is because previously I've done 6 days straight.
Uh-huh.
So backing off. I'm sorry.
I'm trying not to. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to.
Good set. No, but taking that extra day off has allowed my body to really recover a lot more, rest and grow. And one of the things I started doing in 2017, which really helped my body really progress, I started getting more self-care work done. And when I say self-care, I get Graston done every Thursday along with cupping. And every Sunday, I go see my man Big John, who does all my deep tissue work.
Mm-hmm.
It can be costly. It could be like just a pain in the ass to have to drive and go see these people. But the changes my body has shown and the way it's recovered and the way I'm able to train every single week. Without them, I wouldn't be able to train the way I've done. I'd be injured, I'd be banged up, I'd be tired. Because I take that time to get that work done, my body just felt 100% every single week. There was never a moment where anything hurt. Never any issues this year. I'm still 100%. Thank God for that. And again, I'm in a really good place right now with a great team all around.
I'm also a huge proponent of rest. So I've continued to encourage this like rest because I really think that's a variable that we as bodybuilders, because it's always like more and more that we overlook. And honestly, you cannot improve unless you can't out improve your recovery. So even, I think one thing, this again, as bodybuilders, like we're so regimented and we always go back to like that book of success for us. And I think it was around maybe 6 or 4 weeks out, Shaun was like, should we add the 6th day back in? Because that's what he's always done, and obviously he's continued to have success. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, it's working. Everything is working. The rest has been a part of the process this time that's never been there, and you're better than you've ever been. And I really think it paid off because we had to find a variable that we hadn't yet found, and I think that variable this time was including more rest in the process.
Your set team, how did you come across and say, hey, this is my thought process, this is going to be the team? Because you got certain pros, you got amateurs who don't know how to pick a coach, but you apparently also have a lot of Olympians who contest to contest.
Yeah, let's not do that.
You know what I mean? And what made you say, okay, I think I'm vibing with Matt, I think I'm vibing with John, and even wifey. That team allows you to go out here. How did you go about setting that up and then staying with that?
I've had a few coaches in my career that haven't worked out. The reason why I came across John is because I've been a big fan of his training. And I think the reason why I chose John for my training because he doesn't give you a cookie cutter plan. Everything John provided me, he's gone through. tested it himself and found out that it's worked. And that's why I've been working with Don now for 6 years. The reason why I work with Matt is a certain relationship he had with Dallas McCarver. If you guys know Matt, he takes it very personal. Like losing, he just takes it very personal. He's very into his clients. Again, this Olympia was probably the first time he's only had one client in the show, and he stayed with me the entire time. He saw me every minute of the day. Was able to make changes that's needed. Again, he's one of those guys. Again, he's not just gonna write your plan and send you on your way and say that's it. He literally checked with me every single day. Just randomly, he'll check in with her to make sure I'm okay, whatever. So just finding a team that I feel like I communicate with and really, really, truly has my back is just not in it for the money. Was the hey, here's your plan. I'll see you next week. So, and obviously, I don't know if you guys know, I actually worked with Kai Green as well this year for the past 8 weeks of my prep. I've known Kai for many, many years. He's been training at my gym as of recent. And one day I said, hey, you want to just take a look at me? And we went into the posing room, and he drilled me for 2 hours, bro. Like 2 hours. And after that, I thought that was going to be it. But he literally would. And every time I saw him in the gym, he'll check on me again. He'll text me just randomly out of the blue to see how I'm feeling. I'll send him pictures, like, just going back and forth. Also, Victor Martinez, another huge asset this year in my prep. This year's been so amazing with so many amazing people having my back and support. And truly, I don't think I would have had the success I've had without these people.
Back to the topic of keeping your body in check, how often do you say you have him do blood work?
So we do blood work twice a year, and then immediately post-show. That to me is the most important time, immediately post-show, because I'd like to see what exactly is happening in terms of basically the ramifications of a prep. I don't mean to keep going back to podcasts, but I actually had somebody on last week. I did a podcast last week with somebody, and they were talking about like how they appreciate that I try to keep my athletes healthy, and I do. But the most unhealthy that Shaun is going to be when he's on stage. There's no denying that. So I like to see in that post-show period basically where we're at, and then that sets a trajectory for the whole year. And even a few years, I'm not trying to toot my own horn by saying this, but Shaun was having a hard time getting blood work at the time. And I basically said, like, we can't make any changes to your plan until we see where you're at, because that to me is, you have to know what's going on internally. If you don't, you're fighting a losing battle to some extent. So that to me is extremely important, especially like immediately post contest, and know where you're at and the direction that you need to head.
There was a post you did, I think it was maybe a few weeks out of the Olympia, and then you had the green light to eat whatever you want for like a day or half a day.
It was a Sunday.
It was Sunday.
Yeah, I remember that. It was Sunday.
And then it was like, it was still fairly close to the Olympia time.
Yeah.
And then you post a picture, you're eating all this like a dessert pizza or something.
That's my spot, yeah.
Dessert
pizza, that's my spot.
You gave him like the green light to eat, whatever he wants.
That was the one day about
the secret behind that.
Brother Bruno?
What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I want to say this right. I think a lot of times in bodybuilding, food is demonized, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be. Granted, the final few weeks, I think everything needs to be the exact same, so you know exactly what's happening. But from a caloric perspective, there's times where somebody with as much muscle as him just needs calories. And also, too, I'm huge on the mental side of bodybuilding and try to stay like as mentally stable as possible. I know that their relationship is important. So I look at all of that. So if I can say, hey, like, I know that he needs food, I could either throw 3,000 grams of rice at him, or I could let him go eat what he wants for half the day, and it's going to mentally help them. It's going to reset his mind, and we're going to get a better result all week because he feels mentally fresh from, hey, I get to get out of my house today, then I'm going to do that. As long as it's not, going against the overall objective, I'm all for it.